It was her birthday, and somewhere between the grateful to be here's and the I love you alls, she dropped it. I always said I'd marry a simple man, someone uncomplicated, someone who wouldn't get in my way. And I did. Happy birthday to me. Laughter. Loud, raucous, stupid laughter. Some guy in a tight blazer even clapped. I didn't laugh. I didn't move. I watched her up there with that curated smile and that high society glow like nothing she once was. She used to laugh in dive bars, drink from solo cups, and fall asleep in my old hoodie. Back then, she didn't need to step on someone to feel tall. But somewhere along the way, I became that simpleton. Her comfort blanket. Her placeholder. Her punchline. I didn't say a word. Just stood up, left my drink on the table, and walked out through the back kitchen exit like some underpaid caterer. Nobody noticed. No one stopped me. And she? She never called that night. I drove straight home, pulled into our driveway, and sat in the dark cab of my truck for maybe 30 minutes. Just breathing. Just thinking. Our porch light was still on, same as it always was. She hadn't even come home yet. So I made a decision. A quiet one. I packed. Not out of rage. Not some grand movie scene where clothes fly into a suitcase. No, this was surgical. Precise. I took what was mine, the documents, the heirlooms she'd never cared to understand, the savings account she didn't know existed. I left the wedding ring in the sink, next to her fancy imported soap. Let her see it when she went to rinse her hands. And before I walked out for good, I left a letter on the kitchen island. One page. Typed. Folded once, perfectly. Just the way she folds her event invitations. It read, "To my wife, the comedian. Congratulations on the applause. The spotlight suits you. You married a simple man, you said. Maybe you're right. A simple man who paid the mortgage. Who fixed the pipes? Who stayed loyal when you traveled for work and dresses meant to be taken off? A simple man who never asked for much, but always gave more. Tonight, I watched you erase me in front of our friends like I was some footnote in your story. So I'm editing the story. My name's not in the acknowledgments anymore. By the time you read this, I'll be long gone. The house is yours. For now, I'll let the lawyers handle the rest. You'll find they're not as simple as me. Sleep well. P.S. Check the safe." The next morning, she walked into silence. I can only imagine the scream when she realized the safe was empty. The prenup she made me sign, the one she thought protected her, had a clause she overlooked. Clause 17B. The one I suggested, and she never bothered to read. The one that gave me half of every asset acquired post-marriage, including the house she loved to show off. Simple, right? No need to yell. Just let the paperwork speak. I was already 100 miles out by sunrise. I left the city behind with nothing but a duffel bag, a full tank, and a playlist that had no damn business making me feel the way it did. Old songs we used to sing along to on road trips? Now they hit different, like ghosts tapping on the windows. But back at home, she just walked in. To empty. The first thing she'd probably noticed was the missing scent. You don't realize how much someone's presence smells until it's gone. My cologne. My aftershave. The faint trace of cedar from my boots by the door. Gone. Then maybe the absence of keys in the dish. The silence that wasn't peaceful, it was surgical. And finally, the letter. White envelope. No return address. Just her name typed across the front, bold and clean like a warning label. She'd read it. And I know her well enough to guess what came next. That initial scoff, that annoyed eye roll, trying to pretend it didn't sting. She probably poured herself a coffee, oat milk, 2 sugars, always lukewarm, and read it again. Slower this time. And then the safe. The scream must have come right around the time she realized it wasn't just some documents missing, it was all of them. Passports. Joint account paperwork. The title to the house. The old family photo she pretended to cherish, the one where she's got her hand on my chest like she actually meant it. Even her mother's wedding earrings? Gone. Why? Because I paid for the restoration. They were an anniversary gift. Mine, technically. Legally. You'd be amazed what counts as property when you're married to a man who reads the fine print. That's when she called me. 3 missed calls in a row. No voicemail. By the 5th call, she was texting. First with questions. Then with threats. Then with the pathetic, desperate lines. Please, let's talk. I didn't mean it like that. You're being dramatic. There it was. That classic gaslight flicker. I didn't answer any of it. Instead, I sat in a diner 2 towns over, sipping bitter black coffee while the waitress kept trying to flirt. I gave her a smile. Not because I wanted anything from her, just because it felt good to be seen again. Not as a prop, not as a punchline, just a man, a whole man. She never knew what to do with that part of me, the part she couldn't control, couldn't impress, couldn't parade around like a designer handbag. No, she wanted the shell. This simple guy. The one who stayed home while she played queen at her parties. But I was never simple. I was strategic. She just mistook silence for stupidity. That afternoon, her sister called me. I let it go to voicemail. What the hell did you do to her? She's crying, screaming, saying you left like a coward. She was just joking at the party. Call her. Fix this. You owe her that much. I owe her nothing. That night, I checked into a cabin I'd prepaid for 6 months ago. Did that raise a red flag? Maybe. But I told her it was for a writing retreat. That was back when she still believed I was working on a book. What she didn't know was I was documenting everything. Dates, financials, emotional distance, the affairs I suspected but never confirmed because I didn't need proof to walk away. Just motive. And she handed it to me on a platter. Microphone in one hand, wine glass in the other. I married a simpleton. Nah, sweetheart. You married a wolf with his teeth filed down. But now he's sharpening them. This isn't about heartbreak anymore. This is chess. And I just moved my queen. By the third day, she stopped pretending. No more cutesy texts. No more, let's talk, with emoji hearts like this was some high school spat. No, she'd moved on to the real version of herself. The one I'd always suspected lived under the silk robes and red wine smiles. She went nuclear. You abandoned me. I'll tell everyone what you did. You emptied the safe. That's theft. My lawyer will eat you alive. My lawyer already knew. He'd known for months. See, while she was busy curating her image, social media photos, fake candids of our happy life, inspirational quotes about empowered women loving themselves first, I was filing papers. Quietly, thoughtfully, safely, and more importantly, first. She didn't know that part yet, but she was about to, because I'd sent her a second letter. Certified. No more handwritten goodbye. This one was a statement of fact, notarized and delivered with the kind of legal precision that wipes smugness off a face like a hand across a foggy mirror. It said, the marriage is officially over. She would be served divorce papers within the week. Joint assets had been frozen pending review. Her access to our shared accounts was restricted. The house she bragged about in her dinner parties? Temporarily locked pending property division. Oh, and the clause she never paid attention to in the prenup, the one I told you about? It gave me exclusive rights to the real estate tied to my inheritance, which included the land underneath our house. She owned the walls. I owned the earth. Try explaining that to a judge with a straight face. The cherry on top? The photos. Not of infidelity. No, I didn't need to go that route. She never cheated with her body, just with her ego, with her mouth, with her ambition. And I had dozens of shots of her spending money she told me she didn't have. Spa retreats, shopping hauls, secret credit cards I found through a forensic accountant friend I used to work construction with. The guy could dissect a tax return like a surgeon. Receipts don't lie. Unlike her. And here's the part that got her screaming again, this time on the phone to her sister, not me. I made one public post. Just one. A simple photo of me holding an old fishing rod on a lakeside dock with the caption, sometimes losing what you thought you needed shows you who you really are. Day 3. Peace. That was it. No mention of her. No accusations. Just peace. And that drove her insane. Because nothing terrifies someone who needs control more than you walking away without a fight. With your dignity. With your silence. Her world ran on attention. On drama. And now she was screaming into an empty room while I sat under pine trees and let the wind do the talking. My phone stayed on silent, tucked face down on the porch. I watched the sunset paint the lake gold and thought, she thought she could break me with a joke. She didn't know I'd been holding back this whole time. But I'm not anymore. It took 4 days for her to make it public. Not because she was heartbroken. No, grief wasn't her game. She went public because she needed control back. The narrative. The sympathy. The applause. She posted a photo. A sad selfie, lips slightly pouted. Just enough mascara smudged to scream, look at what he did to me. Caption. Sometimes the people who promise to protect your heart are the ones who shatter it. Please respect my privacy as I heal. Hashtag warrior woman. Hashtag healing. Hashtag strength in silence. Except silence was never her strong suit. By the end of that day, 3 more posts followed. One with a quote from Maya Angelou. One with a wine glass in hand and new beginnings written in cursive. and one with our dog. My dog. At least some men stay loyal. That one almost got me. Almost. But the real hit came from mutual friends. I started getting messages, quiet ones, from people who'd known both of us. From the couples we used to double date with, the old coworkers she only kept in touch with when she needed something. Turns out, my silence spoke louder than her noise. She's really spinning this breakup hard. What happened, man? You okay? I noticed she blocked a bunch of people. Drama. She's telling people you had a breakdown. I never bought the whole, "you're lucky to have her" thing. You were the one holding it all together. They were catching on. Slowly. People remembered how she'd correct me in public like I was a child. How she'd laugh just a little too hard when someone took a jab at me. How she'd change around wealthy people, louder, shinier, faker. And how I didn't. See, they remembered the guy who fixed their water heater on a weekend, who helped patch a neighbor's roof after a storm, who remembered their kids' names, birthdays, even allergies. They started realizing, maybe the quiet one wasn't the fool. And her? She felt it. The shifting tide. The comments that didn't come. The texts that went unanswered. So what did she do? She doubled down. Filed a false police report. Claimed I stole things from the safe. Didn't know I had notarized proof of exactly what I took. Did it through the bank. Left a paper trail so clean, the responding officer didn't even bother to blink. Ma'am, your husband's actions fall within legal bounds under the terms of your marital agreement. You may wish to consult your attorney. Click. That humiliation? It was the first real bruise. Not to her body, but to her pride. She called my sister next. That was a mistake. My sister, the one who always saw through the performance, just laughed. Don't come crying now, she said. You made your stage. Don't trip over your own spotlight. And that night? That was the night I got the email. Subject line, you win. 4 words. That's it. I stared at it for a long time. She didn't mean I won. She meant she lost. The image. The story. The grip. Because this wasn't about heartbreak for her. It was about humiliation. And I didn't humiliate her. I just let her do it to herself. By the 5th day, I was no longer running. I was planting. The cabin sat tucked deep in the woods, quiet as a confession. No Wi-Fi. No neighbors. Just a wood-burning stove, a creaky screen door, and a desk that now held the only thing I had left worth holding on to me. I started waking up early again. No alarm. Just instinct. Just the way I used to before I got soft, before I let comfort make decisions for me. And I'd walk the tree line with a thermos in hand and my thoughts finally my own. That's when I pulled out the notebook. Not the kind you type into. Not the kind she'd scroll past with disinterest when I tried to share something I was working on. No, this one was ink. Real pages. And the first thing I wrote was, today, I did not miss her. She probably thought I was somewhere licking my wounds. Broke. Alone. Regretting everything. Wrong. I wasn't rebuilding to get her back. I was rebuilding to make sure no one like her could ever exist in my life again. First stop? My lawyer. The man's a bulldog in a 3-piece suit. Bit of a bloodhound for prenup loopholes. The kind of guy she once called too aggressive after one meeting. I kept him for that exact reason. He laid it out plain. I'd filed first. That gave me the momentum. The financial audit was complete. Her private spending had bled our accounts drier than she realized. The social media evidence she posted? Self-inflicted damage. He'd already drafted a response that painted me exactly how I was. Calm, quiet, respectful. Not reactive. Just gone. She's going to lose the house, he told me, flipping through his folder. Might fight it, but based on the way she dipped into marital assets for personal gain, she's in for a rude awakening. Good. Because that house, the one she used for dinner parties and magazine-style selfies, wasn't just a home. It was a trophy. A throne. And she was about to get dethroned. But while she played defense, I started investing. In me. I took a freelance gig in a town 2 states over. Small-time carpentry, but honest work. Work that made my hands ache and my back sore and my soul breathe. I hadn't felt that in years. And the people? They didn't care about my job title. They cared that I showed up. That I listened. That I helped. That I wasn't fake. One evening, while sanding a railing, a young guy, must have been 22, asked me, "You married?" I paused, looked at my calloused palms, and replied, "I was." He nodded, didn't press. Then he said, "You seem lighter." And you know what? He was right. That weight I carried for years, the one she kept putting on me while smiling for the camera, was finally gone. She, meanwhile, was unraveling. I knew this because my lawyer forwarded a copy of her latest filing. She was contesting the prenup now, claiming she didn't understand what she was signing. Cute. I had the email, the signature, the review from her own attorney, all filed, all time-stamped. She was drowning in her own lies, and I wasn't even there to watch, because I didn't need revenge anymore. I had something better. Peace. Real peace. The kind you don't announce. The kind that wraps around you like a warm flannel and a locked door. And the best part? She couldn't stand it. Because for a woman like that, the worst punishment is not being heard. And I wasn't listening. A week after I disappeared, she went full press. First came the public apology, except it wasn't an apology. It was a performance. She sat on a white leather sofa, makeup perfect, soft classical music playing in the background, and told her followers through crocodile tears that her husband had ghosted her. He just left. No warning. I don't know why. I've been trying to hold it together for the sake of our privacy. Oh, she knew exactly why. But now the audience was slipping. The likes were down. The comments weren't flooding in like they used to. People were getting tired. Because you can only cry wolf so many times before someone asks, "What did you do?" I was still at the cabin, working with my hands, rebuilding my body, my sleep, my peace, everything she had slowly siphoned away one fake smile at a time. Then she dropped the bomb. Not on me. On my mother. Called her directly. First time in 2 years. "I don't know where your son is. He left everything. I'm worried about him. He's not well. You know how unstable he can get." That word. Unstable. Now we were playing dirty. My mother didn't take the bait. She's sweet, sure, but don't let the gentle voice fool you. She raised me alone in a town that chewed up good men. She'd seen enough users in her lifetime to sniff one out before the first syllable dropped. "Funny," she said, "he sounded perfectly stable when he told me what you said in front of your friends. About marrying a simpleton." Click. Silence. I didn't have to tell my mom anything. She saw the kind of woman she was the day I brought her home in designer heels and a fake laugh. Women like that smell like Chanel and disappointment. So when her "he's missing and might be unstable" story didn't land, she pivoted. Straight to the legal system. I got a formal emergency petition for spousal abandonment. Filed in the same courthouse where her lawyer now had a parking spot with her name engraved. I read through it in a diner booth, bacon untouched. According to her, I'd left without a trace. Left her with no explanation. And she feared for my mental well-being. If the irony had weight, the roof would have caved in. But what she didn't know, I'd already filed a notice of intent to divorce 2 days before her emergency petition. And my documentation? Rock. Solid. Texts. Voicemails. Screenshots of her jokes. Receipts. Signed confirmation of my temporary relocation for health and professional purposes, as recommended by my physician. She filed a lie. I filed a timeline. And timelines don't blink. My attorney responded with a fireproof reply. Included in the response, a demand for a mental health evaluation, but hers, not mine. Why? Because any woman who tries to cry abandonment in the same week she posts bikini selfies and spa trips probably isn't as distressed as she claims to be. She wanted the public to feel sorry for her. But now, the court was looking at her like a liability. And the real kicker? That same day, I posted again. Just one sentence this time. If you're going to lie about the ending, make sure the beginning isn't still in my inbox. No hashtags. No names. Just a direct shot through the heart of her fiction. She lost it. Her sister texted me later that night. "What the hell did you do to her? She's crying in the bathroom and throwing wine glasses." I didn't reply. Because here's the truth she never understood. I was the simple man. Until I had a reason not to be.